In this video, I'm going to share with you how to change your life like that and get ahead of 99% of people. Now, this is not theory. This is built off of my experience. You see, in 2019, I hit an inflection point. That was the year that my life forever changed. And since 2019, I've gone to create 3 different 7-figure businesses, which I run all of them today. And frankly, my life has changed in a dramatic way. And it all comes back to what I'm going to show you guys here today. Now, for context, prior to 2019, I've been trying to build businesses since I was 12 years old, dibbling and dabbling, and it just never worked. And in 2019, I decided to go all in and implement the structure that I'm going to share with you guys here today. And the rest is history. So let's dive into it. So I break this down into 6 core components. The first bucket is the why. Ultimately, your why can't be just to make money or to get in shape. It's got to be a bit deeper than that. The car company Toyota has an interesting theory, which they call the 5 whys. Anytime they're going to put something into a car, they would ask themselves, well, why? Well, why? Well, why? And you keep on digging until you get to the core essence. Now, I know everyone beats this whole know your why thing. It's a dead horse at this point, but there is some truth to get into the core emotion. What is that core emotion? What is the why? Ultimately, the why for me was not about making money. The why was twofold. Okay. The first why was I wanted to break a cycle in my family. I wanted to change the course of history for my family. And I'm talking about in my own small way. I'm not saying that I'm somehow altered my DNA line, but I wanted to have an impact. I wanted to break a cycle. In the same vein, I needed an outlet to figure out who I was as a person. And I discovered that I wasn't great at sports. I wasn't great at a lot of things. I never had a place where I could actually figure out what I was made of. And I decided I'm going to make business be that. I'm going to use business as a vehicle to understand who I am as a person, because ultimately business is a challenge. Business is like climbing a mountain or running a marathon. Through the pain, the trials, the tribulations, you begin to learn who you are as a person. That was my why. Cool. So we established that, but that's not enough. The problem is a lot of people have these whys, but they don't have the inverse. What's the pain? What's the anti-vision? What are the things that you're running from? And I know that sounds morose, but ultimately I guarantee you, you're going to run a lot faster if you're running away from a lion than if you're running towards a cheesecake. It's just the truth. Humans are hardwired this way. Now you can say that's a terrible thing. I don't want to believe that, or you can use it to your benefit. What's that chip on your shoulder? What's that thing that keeps you up at night? What's the thing that scares the F out of you? Use that. For me, ultimately, a lot of that fear was rooted in this self-worth issue that I had as a kid and not feeling good enough. And maybe it's a superficial motivation to make myself feel good through accolades. But I tell you what, that pain was immense. I got deep with that pain. I got comfortable with that pain. And I understood full well that becoming on paper successful is not going to rid myself of that pain. But at the same time, I knew I could wield that pain like a weapon, like a sword, to slay the demons to get to where I wanted to go. And so it's like this weird dichotomy where I know that this superficial success is not going to actually define who I am as a person and ultimately isn't going to resolve those problems. That work happens outside. But at the same time, if I've got this fire in me, I'm going to use that to my advantage. I'm going to take the stuff that was a disadvantage that was given to me, and I'm going to use that as my advantage. We all have that. Pain is relative. I don't care what your upbringing was. I don't care what your childhood was. I don't care what your life looks like today. You have pain in your life, part of the human experience. So wield that sword. Let that become your greatest asset. Get comfortable with that. So our why is the light. The pain is the dark. It's the yin and yang, which is an inescapable truth of life. It's the north, it's the south, it's the male, it's the female, it's the sun, it's the moon. And so I think a lot of these motivational gurus don't speak to the dark. They just speak to the light, to the airy, to the fairy, but we're complicated beings. So use the full gamut of what's been given to you. Number 3, what's the vehicle? Now, when we say change your life and get ahead of 99% of people, I'm talking about in all domains. Yes, some of this is geared towards business, but this is the exact same framework that I used to go from 114 pounds at 17 years old to now weighing 200 pounds, having 6% body fat, and being able to lift just about anything. I've also run an ultra marathon. I run marathons. I push my body, but I was the smallest kid in my high school. That never was the path for me, right? And what I'm trying to say is that this framework I've used in all domains of my life. So yes, some of this is geared on changing your financial situation, but you can use this in any area that you're trying to do a 180 in. So let's talk about the vehicle, okay? The vehicle applies mainly to business, but still applicable to other areas. Initially, when I wanted to get into shape, the vehicle that I chose was weightlifting, primarily bodybuilding. But I've selected other vehicles to serve my physical needs, to get ahead of 99% of people. In the same vein, 2024 has been the year of internal work for me. I've spent the last 9 years of my life, 9 years of my 20s working on the exterior, neglected the interior. So I said, this year, this is the year of the interior for me. So what are the modalities? What's the vehicle that I'm using for that? Well, the vehicles that I've chosen are breath work, journaling, and time in nature. Those are the vehicles that I've selected to work on myself internally. Let's talk about vehicles as it applies to business, to changing your financial situation. Well, first thing, if you want to change your financial situation, ultimately it's foolhardy to to try to do that any other way than running a business. Almost impossible, especially if you want to do it here in the near term, right? If you actually want to change your life the next few years in terms of your financial destiny, you got to come to terms that first you're going to have to build a business. Okay. The next thing is that's the high level vehicle. The next thing is what's the vehicle within that? There's 1,000,001 problems to solve. There's 1,000,001 business models to choose. Select the vehicle where you're trying to get ahead. Dedicate yourself to one vehicle. If we're talking about business, don't try drop shipping and FBA and print on demand, Forex signals, and all these different things. Select one vehicle. The vehicle for me has been land, and all the businesses that I've built in the last 5 years have been based around buying and selling land. There's the initial vehicle that I chose was reselling land, flipping land. Then I saw multiple opportunities within that little domain that I've continued to kind of create. So select one vehicle. The next are the KPIs. Now this principle applies not only to business, it applies to every other area of your life that you're trying to improve. We need to quantify what are the inputs. So hypothetically, if we're talking about flipping land, that's the vehicle. Well, the KPIs that I know I have to hit might look like I send out 5,000 pieces of direct mail every month. I've got to make 50 offers to sellers. I've got to send out 10 contracts a month. So what are the variables that you can control? I don't want to think about how much money I'm going to make or how many deals I'm going to do. I just want to think about the inputs that I can control. Those are the KPIs that are within my reach. The same exact thing applied when I was trying to change my body. The KPIs. I'm going to go to the gym 5 days a week. I'm going to follow this split. This is my protocol. I'm going to eat this much food. We need to define the time frame for the variables, and we need to set a plan to actually go and hit them. It's so simple. It blows my mind how complicated people make this. You are capable of infinite levels of change. I promise you, you can do a 180 in any area of your life. It comes down to the framework. Most people have this belief around luck and just throwing darts to the dartboard and hoping things work. The ultra successful have learned that there is a principle, there's a framework that's applicable to every area that you want to make a change in. It is the ultimate meta skill. And that is why someone like me will continue to progress in other areas because I've mastered this skill here. This is the skill to master. The fifth bucket is what I call the science. Now, I've always said that business ultimately is just a scientific method. We come up with hypotheses, we collect the data, we interpret the data, and we make decisions off the data. But the scientific method is applicable to every area that you're looking to make change. When I was going to the gym, I was trying a bunch of different things within that vehicle. I was collecting the data, interpreting the results, making decisions off of that. So you need a way to actually monitor and collect this information. You need to watch it like a hawk, and you need to create next steps off of it. That simple. When I moved to San Diego at 22 years old, I wanted to start meeting women. So what did I do? I followed the same exact model, and part of that vehicle that I chose was cold approaching strangers. So I'd go and cold approach strangers, and I would try new things. It wasn't so much that I would try different like pre-scripted lines. I would just try different strategies, different vibes, different energies. And I would take that feedback. Okay, this energy got a lot of laughs, but it didn't really lead anywhere. This energy got no reaction. So let's not do that, right? So you need a way to actually take in this material and interpret it. One of the greatest ways to do this is just create an Excel sheet, put all the outputs that you get from your inputs, track this stuff, have a weekly session where you go through and review this. Ultimately, this is all business is. Business is a game of collecting data and creating next steps off of what the data is telling you. Business is that simple, but almost every other area of your life is also that simple. It's this right here that tries to complicate it, that has this idea that it's just innate to some people. Some people have it, some people don't, or it's just luck. No. Let's take the luck out of this. I want to figure out a system to where if I was born 1,000 times over again, I could repeat what I've created in my life because I understand the meta skill. And the last bucket is the stamina. And this is where so many people go wrong. There's a million videos online about how to change your life in 6 months or 12 months. And that's a clickbait title that gets you excited. But you want to know what the ultimate skill is? It's sticking in the game. It's the stamina to stay around. All the gains in your life, all the progress in your life is back weighted. Okay. When you start something, most people have this expectation of glorious results instantly. And sometimes it happens, but ultimately it's almost more of a curse than anything because it creates this wrong expectation. Life doesn't work like that. There's a crazy statistic where Warren Buffett made like 90% of his wealth after the age of 60, and he had been investing since his early 30s. Compounding is a wonderful thing, and our results compound, but also our skill compounds. And so this video says 180 days, and that's beautiful, and you can make immense progress quickly. But the real gains, the gains that make you an outlier of an outlier of an outlier, the gains that put you in the 0.00001% of everything you do in life comes down to the stamina. It's the staying power. But most people don't have the stamina or the staying power because they don't have a framework to begin with. They're all over the place. They're spread too thin, and so nothing works. We're humans. We need some kind of a positive feedback loop. I understand that we can't rely on blind faith forever. So yes, we want to get you traction out of the gate. We want to create that positive feedback loop. We want to create momentum, but you still need to flex that muscle of stamina. And if you're going through something right now and you are trying to change your life, please understand at the other end of the rainbow, the light at the end of the tunnel, all of the good stuff, but stick around. Stay around longer than anyone else. Promise you, amazing things will happen. All right, guys, hope you enjoyed this video. Talk soon.